The first National Spelling Bee is held in Washington, D.C. Tom Lee saves 32 people from M.E. Normand, a steamboat that was sinking in the Mississippi River, and Calvin Coolidge becomes the 30th President of the United States. He is also the first president to have his inauguration broadcasted on radio. The year is 1925, and this was a transitional year at Franklin, going from the horse collar grill to a more contemporary, for the time, collared grill. But before getting into all of it, I'm your host, Jay. Welcome to What It's Like, the automotive channel that digs the lost and forgotten cars you may have never heard of. We get into the history, specs, designs, see these cars like you've never seen them before, post 4 to 5 mini documentaries a week with engine episodes generally on Wednesdays. If any of that sounds of interest to you, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. Hershey is coming up fast, and if you've never been there, let me break it down for you, boy. I say, let me break it down for you, boy. Hershey is a huge flea market. It's a car corral. RM is having an auction at the Hershey Lodge just down the street. I'm going to have addresses for all this stuff because last year I went and I had no idea where I was going. There is a car show on Friday that can be judged. If you want to bring a car, possibly win an award, I think you can still apply if you want. It's always the first full weekend in October. This year, it's October 8th through the 11th, so Tuesday through Friday. I will be going Wednesday through Friday, so if you see me out there, be sure to say, hey, 1925 Franklin model lineup. But before getting into all of that, Franklin was founded in 1893 originally as the H.H. Franklin Company, which made die-cast products initially. Hubert Franklin, you know, the guy with his name on the sign, he was interested in automobiles as a curiosity, and almost like an answered prayer, a guy by the name of John Wilkinson would drive his experimental air-cooled car to the H.H. Franklin Company, where he would give Herbert Franklin a ride. And as they say, the rest is history. John Wilkinson would become Franklin's chief engineer over at Franklin from 1902 through 1924. John Wilkinson would leave the company over a designing dispute, which we will come back to in a little bit. Franklin had different periods of design. From 1902 to 1905, Franklin's looked like this. And then from 1906 through 1910, it was the barrel nose. Also offered in 1910 through 1920 was the shovel nose. 1920 transitioned into the horse collar grill, and they kept that design until 1925. In 1925 through 1929, Franklins were designed like this. From 1930 through 1932, Franklin's got more of an oval-shaped grill. It almost looks like an Oakland grill, but I don't want to say that too loud. I don't want to offend anybody. From 1932 through 1934, they go to the slant grill V12 era. 1925 Franklin model lineup was the Model 10C, which was more or less their previous model, and the Model 11A, which was brand new. John Wilkins' idea was to always build a small, light and weight car that was economical, and the new design was getting away from that. So John Wilkinson would leave, and he would go work at Dodge with the Victory 6, and then later went to the Haynes Company. So let's compare 10C on the top, 11A on the bottom. The biggest difference between these two is the grille, which goes from an elegant horse car grille to a more contemporary for the time grill on the 11A. But also make no mistake, the bodies are totally different between these two. The 11A looks way more beefier than the 10C. The 11A has a more boxy physique than the 10C. Headlights also grew in size. The bumpers are thicker on the 11A. Fender profiles are also different. The 11A has more two-tone paint as well as more intricate pinstriping. The windshield gets revised, going from a split windshield to a single-piece windshield. The hoods open up differently as well. On the 10C, it flips forward. The hood is a single piece, but if you really think about it, this was way ahead of its time than the rest of the automotive field, because the rest of the automotive field doesn't do that until the late 30s with a single piece hood. The 11A has a butterfly hood. 1925 Franklin Model 10C could be had in body styles such as, but not limited to, coupe, tourer, brougham, sedanette, and Demi sedan. Franklin would offer the Demi sedan from 1920 through 1925. It was advertised as two cars in one. It had a permanent hardtop, but the windows could be removed, the frames and all, essentially going from a sedan to an open touring car. It's important to note that the Demi sedan had real windows instead of the goofy side curtains. Let's talk specs. It rides a wheelbase of 122 inches. Price, $2,750, which would be equivalent to you spending $49,467.94 in the year 2024. Total 1925 Franklin was 8,595 units. Moving on to engine. 236.4 cubic inch displacement, inline, air-cooled 6, 3.9 liters. It's good for 31 horsepower at around 1750 RPM, estimated 95 pound-feet or 128 newton meters around 1000 RPM, with a bore of 3.3 inches and a stroke of 4.8 inches. It is backed to a 3-speed manual transmission. Let's talk styling on this absolutely gorgeous car. Just notice the headlights are connected to this part here, the frame. Also notice how this comes down. This one doesn't have a crank cover, just a crank cover mock-up. 1925. Check out that beautiful mascot. Notice the headlights are painted at the back of the bucket. The front has bright work. Let's take a look at this fender profile. Look at those wood spoke wheels. Has a split windshield, but it's split horizontal instead of vertical. It doesn't have a cowl vent up here, but it does have two footwell vents. There's a vent here as well as a vent on the other side. Take a look at those running boards. Back fenders, this nice bead that caps it off. And look how it ends as it comes out the back. It kind of mimics the front, but it comes down. It's a single brake light, spare tire, gas filler is on the passenger side. Also notice where the leaf springs end. Before getting inside, just take a look at these door handles. Notice it has this lip here for the door. It looks like wood. Door's made of wood. This feels like leather and or leatherette on the door panel itself. This is the door handle to get out. Has pocket, put maps in there or glove box. Coming down inside, the pedal box down here. That brown door is for the footwell vent. Handbrake, high beam switch, clutch, brake, gas pedal, place to put your foot. Just take a look at this interior. Also notice the seat to kick panel placement. My hand is 7.5 inches long, So it is kind of tight to get in there, just so you're aware. Here's what over the hood would look like. Here's what first person over the hood would look like. On to the button switches and knobs, starting at the steering wheel, horn button, hand throttle. Notice all of the buttons and switches are in the center. Starting with the toggle switches, primer, ignition, choke is a pull in the center, headlights, bright, dim, actual panel light, spark control, battery level, speedometer is all the way over on the passenger side. Numbers spin, but the needle stays stationary. Odometer, trip odometer, clock. Up above, there aren't any sun visors. There's an aftermarket rear view mirror so you can see the people behind you. So just take a look at this back door. Wood inserts. Door handle to get out. It has map pockets back here as well, whatever you wish, because this car doesn't have a trunk. Take a look at this interior back here. Footrest, robe rail to put a heavy blanket on in the winter time, keep nice and warm. Also notice how it's kind of sort of channeled up back here. Just take a look at this engine, air-cooled 6. You have the starter right there. This is where you would fill the oil. Notice it has a gauge right off the side. The needle down is full, up is empty. Also take a look at all of the different oil lines. At the generator up front. This is the exhaust side. Notice distributor and coil. Coming to the intake side, notice the exhaust comes and then down. This one has an updraft carburetor. There's an oil can there and the horn. This is a vacuum fuel pump with fuel filter. I just love how accessible everything is. On the positive side, air-cooled engine, so you don't have any water/coolant leaks or radiator issues. Tons of space in the rear. Easy under the hood access. The hood flips forward. It isn't in the way. When you're under the hood, Demi sedan itself was a great body design for the era. It's worth mentioning that Franklin wasn't the only company to offer that body style against it. These might be a little bit underpowered. All right, now it's time for Would You Rather. 2 scenarios today. In the first scenario, would you rather have a 1925 Cole Demi sedan with a V8 or 1925 Franklin Model C Demi sedan air-cooled 6 or 1925 Jordan Phaeton Great Line 8 powered by the Continental Inline 8? I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. On to the second scenario, 1925 Apperson 6-cylinder or 1925 Franklin air-cooled 6 Demi sedan or 1925 Holmes, which also used the Franklin air-cooled 6 engine. Once again, going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. On to Name That Tune. First person to get both the name of the band and the song title correctly in the comment section will have their comment pinned to the top of the comment section. Thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the comment section below or send me an email at what_its_like@yahoo.com. Thank you guys all so much for everything that you bring in the comment section. And until next time, toodaloo! What follows is a walk around of the car. Enjoy.